Hey there, and welcome to Shift Happens with Shay. I'm Shay, your host and licensed marriage and family therapist. This podcast is where we dive into all the shift life throws our way, whether it's relationships, mental health, personal growth, or just figuring out this crazy journey of adulting. Here, we're all about honest conversation, real stories, and a whole lot of laughs as we tackle life's challenges together. This is your space to grow, explore, and feel seen. So grab a cozy spot, maybe a cup of coffee or wine, and let's get ready to shift through it all. Thanks for tuning in. And remember, no matter what life brings us, we're in this together. Hi guys, welcome back to Shift Happens with Shay. I'm Shay, your host, licensed marriage family therapist, and let's get into it. This podcast, as you guys remember, is all about transformation, healing, community, togetherness, all of that goodness as we go ahead and explore through our different struggles in mental health, whether that's isolation, burnout, depression, anxiety, social life, relationships with dating, or even just navigating friendships. We're here to go into it all because it's imperative that we really talk about why mental health is a critical topic, especially for us as women, because I mentioned a little bit in our last session, I say session, but in the first episode, which thank you for tuning in and thank you for the feedback I received. I really appreciate you guys. So jumping back in, some of the things I mentioned in the first episode that sometimes as women, we're expected to be Wonder Women. We're expected to have it all together. We're expected to be an impenetrable force, a wall that just can't be broken down, unclimbable. We just are expected to be able to withstand all conflict, all stressors, all pain. And it's very dehumanizing. It's really invalidating to who we are because we as women, we feel, we hurt, we love, we care, we're sensitive beings, and there's nothing wrong with being sensitive. It's almost as if sensitivity is a weakness. And yes, I know in society it's given mostly to men, don't be weak, don't feel, but over time it has felt like what's expected of us is that we have to have it all. We need to be sensitive, caring, nurturing, while also strong, impenetrable, able to provide for everyone. And in the end, we end up putting ourselves on the back burner. I get a lot of women that come into my office and want to know how can they love themselves more? How can I just relieve this pressure I'm feeling while still performing the best that I can? And a lot of that starts by releasing the old version of ourselves, releasing the hurt, releasing the pressure, releasing the expectations. And with that comes a whole bunch of struggles because in order to heal, we have to confront the actual things that are contributing to our mental health. And some of those things, of course, that I'm mentioning is like anxiety. It is through the roof for my women. We are going through it. Increased anxiousness because we're meant to see ahead of the game. We have to know what's going on. We have to see so far in the future. We have to anticipate everybody else's needs while forgetting about our own. Isn't that just crazy? When you think about it, think about your day to day. You get up and you have planned for it. You know what it looks like. If not hour by hour, sometimes minute by minute. Y'all know what we know. I say y'all, but we know what we're doing from the day we wake up, from the morning, the crack of dawn, sun comes in. You already know what's on your agenda. Because if you don't, the anticipation that it won't work out or even just it falling apart stresses you out more. And then when we're unable to meet these unrealistic expectations of ourselves, failure comes. And that's when I like to call her Depression Debbie. Debbie is knocking on your door, coming at you, tearing you down, tearing your self-worth down, telling you that you are not enough, that we're not meant for anything, we're unworthy of love because we weren't able to provide. Debbie and Annie, who is anxiety, because those two, they best friends. When Annie is acting up, Debbie is right behind her. Debbie's acting up, Annie's right behind her. They work in tandem. And that then leads us to isolation. So this goes perfectly into what I'm about to talk about, those three big struggles, some of them. And I'm not saying these are the only stressors we as women go through, but they sure enough damn well are the three biggest that we face. And I'll mention it again: anxiety, depression, and isolation. When Annie is acting a fool, that perfectionist comes in. It turns in. That inner critic is loud as hell. She doesn't know how to let you rest. She is going, she is racing, she is telling you all the possible outcomes that could go wrong, and don't even show you all the possible outcomes of how this can go right. Because Annie doesn't want to do that. Annie wants to make you worry because anxiety is rooted in fear. I know some of you have seen possibly the new Inside Out movie, #2, that came out this year. Beautiful description of what anxiety is like. That racing, unable to let go, the fear of losing control. And like I mentioned, having to be 5,000 steps ahead of the game because we're anticipating every negative situation that can go down. Isn't that familiar? Being a mom, being a sister, being an aunt, being a niece, just being a woman in general. Like I mentioned earlier, you are meant to anticipate everybody else's needs because you can't afford failure. You can't afford to take the chance to not be enough. You can't afford to take the chance to feel unworthy, to pretty much feel like you're unreliable when really you're not. You are the most reliable person out here. That's why everybody calls you. That's why everybody wants to hear from you. That's why everybody wants to hear your thoughts, wondering what you're doing, because we create this beautiful, it's a delulu, this beautiful delulu that we have it all together. And honey, we are just human. It's okay. We're human. Anxiety is just, Annie just does a lot. And interesting to know is that women tend to be more impacted, or when I say this is that it is more likely you will find that women are diagnosed with anxiety disorders. Statistically, women are shown to have a higher prevalence rate of anxiety disorders compared to men. And this is from the National Library of Medicine. So in this study, it's called Gender Differences in Anxiety Disorders. And it is shown that women have higher rates of lifetime diagnosis for each anxiety disorder examined, except for social anxiety, which doesn't really have a gender difference. But some of the disorders that women tend to have a higher lifetime diagnosis are panic disorders, agoraphobia, which is the fear of large spaces and being around crowds and such, specific phobias, social anxiety disorder, generalized anxiety disorder, and post-traumatic stress disorder. And I know we usually hear that with PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder, that it is prevalent in our veteran society population. And true, it is. But our veterans aren't just men anymore. Our veterans are also women. So the women in the military are also adding to these statistics now. And also, another one is obsessive compulsive disorder. That one's also higher. Across the board, we as women are showing that we're under a lot of stress. We're under so much. We are under rocks, boulders at this point, just to upkeep this perfectionist, the completist, the woman that has it all. And we're ragged and tired. And it's unfortunate because we're taught, honestly, to be this way from a young age. We're taught to be caregivers. We're taught to be caretakers. We're taught to be nurturers because as a society from the young age of, I'm not going to say age, it's really mostly when you're children. From children to adolescent, we are ingrained with being taught how a woman needs to be. A woman is always taught to be there for others. A woman is always taught to be a comforter. A woman is always taught to be a cheerleader. A woman is always taught to pretty much be at a man's side and make sure he succeeds, be there, be his confidant. And that's with everything. You even as a woman, when you enter when you enter into a motherhood, you're taught to give up everything for your children. And when you're young, think about when you're a child. The toys you got, baby dolls. You got Barbies, you got Cabbage Patch Kids. Oh my God, isn't that just a throwback? But you got baby dolls and you were saw as this cute little human taking care of baby. Oh, that's so cute. But we're also then reinforcing the teachings that you have to learn to be a mother, learn to be a caretaker, learn to anticipate other people's needs before yourselves. Because I don't know about you, but while playing with those Barbie dolls and baby dolls, I don't remember being taught, how does mommy take a break? What does mommy do for fun when baby is already taken care of? How does mommy get taken care of? None of that is really talked about. And I will say, I saw my mother take breaks. She went on trips, and she is literally my goal because she taught me that, girl, be a traveler, explore the world, that you actually could have it all and you don't have to sacrifice everything. Though my mom still had her sacrifices. She is incredible. And growing up, she was my superwoman. And I don't say that as my mom isn't a superwoman. I don't want her to be superwoman anymore, because my mom is human. I see the human of my mom now. I want her to take care of herself. I want her to live her best life. I want her to enjoy the things she loves and not to always think she has to put me first before her own needs, even as I'm an adult at this moment, to know that she still feels the need to anticipate my needs before hers. And I love her, and she knows I tell her this. I want her to put herself first. And that's for all of us as women, because this societal pressure of putting everybody else's needs before us, honestly, it is a downfall. And because we're not taught how to take care of ourselves. So with that being said, we have techniques to manage anxiety. We have grounding tools, and some of them we'll talk about. We have deep breathing exercises. You may hear that, maybe you haven't, maybe you have. It is called square breathing. This is when you will imagine a square. Yep, draw it out with your hands, a square. And with each line, think about this. You are inhaling for 4 seconds. The second line, going down, you are holding for 4 seconds. Third line, going across, you are exhaling for 4 seconds. And then last line, go up, you are holding for 4 seconds. And then you will start the square again. If you want to do it with me, we will do a deep breath and I will count for you. Okay, take a 4-second inhale. 1, 2, 3, 4. Let's hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. Release for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And hold for 4 seconds. 1, 2, 3, 4. And then you would start this again. You can do this about 3 times just to alleviate the anxious feelings that you're having. Those nerves, when you're feeling really tight, you might feel it in your hands, your chest, that dreadful pit in your stomach. When I'm stressed, I tend to feel it in the back of my neck. So that's how I know my day has been long. You can try that to release, because when anxiety, you need to learn to release, because you're already wired to hold, to make this fist, this desperate fist, but you want to release that fist. Let your hands go, good. And reframing those negative thoughts of not being enough. Remember when we talked about Debbie, when she comes in tandem with Annie? So you need to reframe those negative thoughts, and reframing, yes, not negative positivity, but with facts, because I'm not about being false positive or like toxic positivity. I'm not for that, because we do need to be realistic. We need to have duality in life. Understand the good and the bad. Life is gray, not black and white. Reframing those thoughts. I can't afford to fail this project at work. If I do this, they'll never take me seriously. It's okay if I make mistakes. I have planned ahead. I actually know what I'm talking about. I know I can improvise. I am a valuable asset to this company. I know what I'm doing. Past has shown me I have. Look at my accolades. Look at the praises and the recognition I have gained. I have respect here. I got this. Me messing up a little bit is not going to knock me off the top. Also, me making a mistake does not devalue my worth. I'm still worthy. Oh, so those are some ways to reframe. Or even if you're saying this from, I'd say, mother, is I can't afford to not be there for my kids at all of their games. They expect me. They rely on me to be there. If I'm not there, I failed as a mother. How can I not be there in their time of need? I'm not a failure. I'm only one person. My children know I believe in them. I leave them notes all the time. I pour into them every day and let them know they're amazing. And though it hurts that I can't be there for all of my kids' games, because unfortunately they happen to be on the same day, and it disheartens me, I've already had a conversation with my kids. They know I will always be their biggest cheerleader. This has not meant I'm a failure as a mother. It will be okay. My kids will understand. And you have to be kind to yourself. That inner critic, we got to tell her to shut up. And then also, you want to create realistic to-do lists and boundaries. Boundaries. You want to create a realistic to-do list that doesn't pretty much say that you have no time to breathe. You want to take this time to create what you can really do in a day. I know we got 24 hours, but if you have a good 24 hours, some of us get that 8 hours of sleep. You're getting hopefully somewhere 6 to 8 hours of sleep. And there you go. Boom. Now we're down to 16 hours. And what are you going to do with that 16 hours? If you work an 8-hour shift like me, or you work a 10-hour shift, then that's only 6 hours then you have to yourself. So what are we going to be doing? Take the time. We're not trying to get everything done. We're trying to get what we can done. Start off with 2 to 3 things that you can do, and set boundaries, because again, you're one person. Put the cape down, sis. You're not Wonder Woman. Put the rope down. No, we take time for ourselves here, and there's nothing wrong with that. Like I mentioned in the first episode, self-care, self-love is not vanity. It is sanity. This is why we set boundaries. Setting boundaries is an act of self-love. Setting boundaries is how we encourage other people and teach them how to treat us. So set your boundaries. You're one person, and this is a perfect time to talk about this because it's the holiday season. You can put all those boundaries to work now. And of course, I always want to mention that it is okay to seek therapy to help you with letting go of perfectionism. It's okay. Let go of being perfect, because perfect doesn't exist. It does not exist. So it's okay, all right? Now we'll go into a little bit more with depression. So Debbie often goes unrecognized because we as women mask our feelings to keep up with appearance, keeping up with the Joneses, or, oh, my struggle is probably not that important. Or also, nobody needs to know I'm struggling. I don't want to be a burden. I'm not worthy of that care. Or nobody will understand. They won't get it. So it's better that I just pretend that everything is okay. Some of these examples can look like you have a friend who is always fine. Always saying, I'm good, I'm fine. Nothing's wrong, girl. Living the dream. But really, they're numb inside. And it just seems, if you think about it, that friend never, ever has anything going on. Or you've never actually heard them say, girl, I need you. Can you check in on me? Can we have a girls' day? Or maybe you have, but they've said it in a way of, oh, I just miss you. Let's just hang out. But really, That is that reaching out. It's their way of saying, I need help. Girl, please reach out, because it's hard to ask for help. We as women are stuck in a cycle of burnout and we feel like we're failing. You have that? Ever been stuck in a cycle where it's just, I can't breathe, I can't catch a break. I don't know what I'm doing wrong. And the symptoms can look like loss of energy. You're so fatigued, so worn, loss of interest, your hobbies, the things that you used to enjoy doing, lack of joy. When it is so hard for you to tap into joy, the little things that used to mean so much, that put a smile on your face when it came across your phone or your desk, now doesn't seem to give the same oomph. And then you may feel guilty. Oh, we're always guilty because, oh my God, we're down for the count. I don't feel well. How could I, let me rephrase that. How dare I feel down when I have so many people to be there for? They are counting on me. Or irritability. You're just snapping at people. Think about it. You're human. It's okay. Depression is hard. Depression is isolating. It is really scary here because it's dark for us. We're so used to numbing because we have to be there and be everybody's shoulder. But girl, let me tell you, find you a shoulder. Find you a good old time to just cry and let it out. Find you a space to just release it. I don't care if you got to go to the beach and scream it. Maybe scream it into your pillow. Have a cry session. Open up your journal. Start writing out your inner thoughts. And don't be afraid of those thoughts. Let them come. Let them come. When you suppress is when depression gets worse. You are not alone here. Some of the thoughts may be scary, but if you notice your thoughts are getting a little scarier than usual, seek out help. Seek it out, girl. And trust, I have been there. I have been a person that has had suicidal ideations. I have been a person that has felt like I don't want to be a burden. I am the person, and I'm still working on me because we're all a loading bar. We're all a progress bar in progress, that I have to have it together because I have my family that depends on me. I always saw that I couldn't be the one to fall apart because I have to allow space for my family to be able to fall apart and me catch them. When we do that, we take away the ability for our community to show us how they can show up for us. And that's hard. It's so hard to rely on others. It's so hard to just say, I'm tired. I just don't feel like going on. And that doesn't mean we're going to off ourselves. That doesn't always mean that. It just means I'm just tired. I'm tired of having to put this mask on. I'm tired of putting my best foot forward. Can I just sit here? And you can. You definitely can. You're allowed to take the cape off, girl. Hang it up. Burn it, preferably, to be quite honest. Some of the things I did mention, how can we manage those depressive symptoms? Journal. You want to journal to process your thoughts, because when you process your thoughts and get to know you in your most vulnerable moments, you're creating an intimate relationship with yourself. You're getting to know yourself like no other. And the more you know about your emotions, the more empowered you will be. You will understand your triggers. You will understand that when I feel like X, Y, and Z, that means I'm getting close to my downtime where I'm about to fall off. You'll see those warning signs clearer. You'll be able to catch yourself. You'll be able to reach out for help sooner. Also, start small. Create manageable habits. Bold, walking for 10 minutes daily. Maybe you do affirmations. You don't have to create your own. Go to YouTube and look up a list of affirmations for whatever you need in life, and go ahead and let that just play for you. Another manageable habits you could be doing, reach out to a loved one. Maybe you make it a point to reach out to at least one loved one and have a, 5-minute conversation to just talk about what's going on in your lives, good, bad, and ugly. Start small. And if it just feels too much, reach out. Get a therapist, go to your family, go to your friends. You are not alone in this. Healing is a journey worth starting. And let me tell you, isolation is hard. This is a hidden epidemic. we end up feeling disconnected, especially during major life transitions, career changes, moving cities, motherhood. When you uproot yourself from your environment, you're physically disconnecting yourself. And when you're not taking the time to reach out, like I mentioned with Debbie above, you end up feeling too alone. Think about it. You ever been in a room full of people and you just still feel like you're the only person there? Like you don't fit in? This isn't for you. I don't want to be here. I don't feel welcomed. I don't feel needed. Like, I don't know if y'all have had that. I've definitely had a couple of times where it's just like I've tried to force myself to go out because, I'm feeling down, but I don't want to be myself. I guess it'd be good to be around people. But when you're disconnected from yourself, you're disconnected from the world. It's hard. Sometimes losing friendships over time. When that happens, you tend to struggle with forming new ones. And I mentioned in the first episode, that's one of our struggles, creating friendships as adults. When you're younger, this is much easier because friendship is based on proximity. You're around them all the time. You're in school. You ain't got no choice but to be with your bestie, to be quite honest. But as we get older and we go through these different transitions, motherhood, marriage, divorces, moving, career changes, we start to feel difficult to relate to our friends we used to have. But, let me not get into a word there because that'll be another episode. But those who are meant to move with you will move with you. But we find it hard to relate to people we used to come up with because we're not in the same room together. We're not on the same floor together. We are just not here together. We don't want nor think or need the same things. So you end up losing friendships that used to be precious over time, and you're struggling to find your circle in your new city, in your new job, with being a mom, with being a wife, being engaged, or being a newly singled person. Imagine you were the only person in your friendship divorced and everybody's still married. Do you know how isolating that is? Nobody understands what I'm going through. Nobody understands what it feels like that I'm having this change happen. Where is my tribe? And this impacts our mental health and it impacts our relationship because with isolation, you withdraw a lot. You go quiet. You go radio silent. People not hearing from you. And you see how this goes in with Debbie that I mentioned before? You start hearing that friend that just keeps saying, I'm fine. All is good. It's whatever. But you're like, girl, aren't you going through a divorce right now? Isn't life going crazy? I'm good. I'm going to stick it out because I'm good for it. Everything's going to work out for me. Don't worry about me. What? No. And then as they keep saying that, they're at home hearing the thoughts of, I failed. How could I not have kept my marriage together? Was I really that bad of a wife? Or, oh my God, I'm entering motherhood. I can't get my child to just have a good sleep. They keep crying. What am I doing wrong? Why am I not a good mother? I'm moving to another city. This is so exciting, but why can't I find my people? All my friends, I'm looking at their pictures on Instagram and they're having such an amazing time. And I'm here in my apartment in this new city and I don't know what to do. I don't know anybody. Was this a good move? Did I make the wrong choice for myself? Do I even really know what I need? These are the thoughts that will run rampant in your mind. And you start to not trust yourself, or others start to look like the enemies, or you continue to feel that you are a burden. It is important for you to maintain your self-esteem. If you have a low one and you fear being vulnerable with yourself, you are going to maintain isolation. You must know that you are doing everything you can within your power, but you just need a little more razzle dazzle, a little more help and sparkle in your life from loved ones to get you out, and that is a-okay. Don't fear being vulnerable. Vulnerability is a part of life. It is okay. It's okay. Sometimes we feel fragile and it's awful. Trust. I am a therapist who has struggled with vulnerability, and I continue to do so because I am the friend that will say I am just fine, but I am learning to open up. And when I have these really triggering thoughts or emotions or just really strong waves of them, I have called my family members and I have left voice notes so they understand where I'm at and that I just need them to love on me a little bit harder right now. And that's hard for me because I don't like to cry in front of people. Like I told you, I like to be the strong one. I've been created to be the strong one, it feels like at times, for my family. And when I'm not, I feel like I'm failing. But I have to constantly remind myself, vulnerability is not failure. It is embracing who I truly am. So you do the same. So try to join some groups or communities, virtual or local. And let me tell you, don't sleep on virtual, because I have met many amazing women in virtual groups, whether that's Facebook groups, women's society groups on Instagram. Just find things that you are interested in. Any group that you're interested in: crocheting, candle making, soap making, finding Black women that are in the Orlando area, women that love luxury, women that love aesthetically pleasing things. Go ahead and find it. There is a group for you. I promise. There really is. And when you're initiating connections, be open. It's okay. Now, I'm not saying disregard your boundaries and you just tell them your whole life story and your traumatic incidences in your life. No, we're not doing that. So please don't. But don't be afraid to start. Don't be afraid to initiate. This builds confidence anyways, because guess what? You're a light in that room. You're needed. Come on and shine. You are that girl. And learn to ask for help. Ask for support. And no, you don't have to be or feel guilty. You're not guilty. It's okay. And it'll take time for that, because you're not just going to automatically not feel guilty when you ask, because that's that burden of that I shouldn't do this, I'm bothering them. Remember, this is my support circle. We have made it known that we are here for each other. We have made it a priority to always be there, to let each other know when we need one another. I am not about to back out of my promises, my friendship promises, because depression and isolation want to tell me that I'm not worthy of it. I deserve my friends and they deserve me. I am worthy of friendship. I am worthy of connection. So are you. If, again, you need a little more razzle-dazzle, girl, go on and get you a therapist, a life coach, or whatnot to help you explore and overcome barriers to connection, because it may be deeply rooted. Somewhere along the line, you may have been taught that building or having a connection is more painful than not having one at all. And that usually is rooted in betrayal, humiliation. You know what I'm mentioning. You probably already thinking about a certain situation. And remember, those toxic situations do not represent all situations. That toxic friendship does not represent all friendships. And that's going to be a word, let me tell you, because we're going to get into that, toxic friendships. But what I want you to take away is that building meaningful connections take time. But start with small, intentional actions. You got this. Remember, when it comes to anti-anxiety, we got some new tools that we learned here. Our breathing technique, remember the 4 square. Inhale, deep breath for 4. Hold for 4. Breathe out for 4. Hold for 4. Keep doing that about 3 times until you have felt your heart stop racing. Your mind feels calm. Feel grounded. Touch the ground around you and set boundaries, because that's an act of self-love. Depression, find your small wins and open up. They are important to praise yourself so that you remember who you are. And don't be afraid to be vulnerable. To beat isolation, steps to reconnect. You go ahead, start small, start virtual, start local. If you are an introvert like me, virtual is perfectly fine. There is nothing wrong. If anything, over the years I've learned, I've met some incredible people in the space of the internet and still actually connect with them now. And it's amazing. I love it. It's crazy. I've known one person since high school and I love to see her win. I love when she checks on me and I check on her. It's great. Trust me. You may find your person on the web. Shoot, we out here finding Mr. and Mrs. Right on the web and in apps. Why can't you find your bestie? So let's take this time. Grounding exercises, small wins, open up, reconnect, and rebuild. Remember, you are not alone. And I will keep stating that because it is something so near and dear to me that I had to remember, that I had to be cognizant of, that I had to become my mantra. I am not alone. I don't have to keep the cape. I don't have to go through life and be the strong one. And you don't either. You are human. We are not an impenetrable wall. Yes, words hurt. they hurt just as much as a physical slap. Don't be alone, because we can really be our own enemy. And the best way to get out of this is really to create our community. Get you your girlfriends, get you some girl time. Recently, me and my girlfriends, we got together for National Black Women Day and for our mental health, and we did a paint and sip at home and drew pictures. We didn't draw them. We actually just painted, and we laughed and we talked, and we had music on, and it was a vibe because we were vibing to like thousands R&B, having a good old time. And also, you can't forget, we also had not just R&B but some pop, because who doesn't love a good old Faith Hill and Backstreet Boys, all that goodness, you know what I'm saying? But set the mood, be together. And even in that time, we may have talked about a little bit of some serious things here and there, but the best part was that it was healing because we were laughing, we were joking, we were just being in each other's presence. It's so important to build meaningful connections. I'm telling you. So I hope you enjoyed this episode. It was definitely way longer than our last one, but I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you got what you needed from here. And come and share your thoughts with me. Share your experiences on Instagram, because you can find me at Shift Happens with Shay, and that's happens with an S, on Instagram. And you can also email me if you need it to be a little bit more private. You could DM me on Instagram, or you can email me at shifthappenswithshay@gmail.com. I'm always here for you. And I'm happy to give you guys a nice little shout out if there's some topics you want me to talk about. And I'm not going to see you saying your name, because unless you're okay with that. But I want us to build this virtual sip and shift community. Come on and sip and shift with me. Come with me. Tell me your thoughts. I'm here for you. The next episode, we're going to dive into that toxic friendship stuff that we were talking about. Because even though it's important for us to build connection, we still have to have discernment of the people we choose to be in our circle. We're trying to build meaningful connections. So we'll be talking about friendship and adulthood, how to build those connections, and how to spot out the toxicity. So thank you for joining me. If you're new, yay! Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and please share the podcast with someone who may need it. I really do appreciate the support. I appreciate your time for sitting here and listening to me. And if you love what you're hearing and you're ready for more, come on, come for the ride. We in this journey together, girl. I'm ready to sip and shift with you. All right. Love you guys. If you need me, you know where to catch me. Instagram, Shift Happens with Shay. Email me, shifthappenswithshay@gmail.com. And that is all. Razzle dazzle out. Mwah.